Okay, keep in mind they're changing my voice, trying to fume me, and the fumes tend to change my speech patterns, as does the editing the videos, to try to make it so I sound bipolar or something. Okay, again, he's saying to attractive females, why do you keep clinging on to white supremacy and international Jewish occultism and materialism? Okay, why won't you rally and obey? I've done nothing wrong, and they've done everything wrong, and it's wrong to live a wrong life, even for a long time. Why do you fear death so much when you're going to die anyway? When the best years of your life, 19 through 29, and then especially if you're 19 through 29. Why do you insist on wasting the best years of your life sleeping with scum and indulging in their evil cultures and paths and ways? Why? You have no basis for a charge against me. You have no basis for a rebellion against me. You know that their smear campaign is laughable. You know they have no logical complaint against me. I am blameless. I've proven it a million times over. Why do you insist on shunning me for scum and then bringing in more children into an evil world? Why? Why do you scream, give us evil fathers? Why do you scream, give us evil children? Why? So Pilate decided to grant their demand. He released the man who had been thrown into prison for insurrection and murder, the one they asked for, and surrendered Jesus to their will, this is how the story goes in this part of the story, and in real life, how it ends with you people acting like sissies, saying, give us evil, give us a long, evil, decrepit life so we can look like Cruella de Vil and Dick Dastardly and Lex Luthor. It is fucking pathetic. Next section, the infamous crucifixion of Jesus. And notice crucifixion is not instant death. It's not cutting off his head, okay, with a guillotine or with a sword or with an axe. We're talking a long, painful death. Just like here, we see the long, drawn-out torture, the same old, the Romans took over Europe, right? That's why you have a Senate. The Romans had a Senate. There's cities like Antioch, okay? There's Greek societies, Greco-Romans. There's Greek fraternities and sororities and colleges, and Masons are very much modeled after, Greeks and Pythagoreans and Roman kind of cults and mystery schools, and they have all kinds of books about these things and so on and so forth, okay? And you see all these rich people with their Roman-styled fountains, with their Roman deities and arrows and all this stuff, right? And they think they're important and so on and so forth. And they act like a bunch of bloodbath Romans, American gladiators, right? Roman gladiators and what have you. Okay. UFC fighting and bloodbaths and so on. So the crucifixion of Jesus. Of course, psychology and psychiatry from the word psyche, right? A Greco-Roman deity whose consort was Eros. Roman version is Cupid, okay? And we have Valentine's Day, romance, Roman and romance and romantic. Okay, and the connections go on, direct and unavoidable connections. You have a neo-Roman, neo-colonialist culture. And you are crucifying the real idea that Jesus was superimposed on, okay, in a sense, and you won't rally and obey God through me. In the story, people were obeying God through him, but you people won't. As the soldiers led him away, they seized Simon from Cyrene. He was on his way in from the country and put the cross on him and made him carry it behind Jesus. A large number of people followed him, including women who mourned and wailed for him. Okay? No, you see, the women are following him. Women here are moving against me. Jesus turned and said to them, daughters of Jerusalem, do not weep for me. Weep for yourselves and for your children. For the time will come when you say, blessed are the childless women, the wombs that never bore, and the breasts that never nursed. To say you're not supposed to reproduce. Your actions are going to say that only dumb sluts reproduce. How selfish is that? Like you're doing it because they're going to hurt your family otherwise? Or they're going to keep abusing your family every generation, and they keep making those stupid choices. That's the reason. But for most of you, I'd imagine that's not the reason. Blessed are only those who obey God through me, who don't reproduce, who get their tubes tied for good measure, for example. Blessed are the childless women, the breasts that never nursed, the wombs that never bore, and the breasts that never nursed. Then they will say to the mountains, fall on us, and to the hills, cover us. He's citing Hosea 10, where they say that they don't have a king because they didn't revere the Lord. They don't have a true king. They have a Roman barbarian Caesar. A barbaric, not necessarily of German descent or Nordic descent, but a barbaric scoundrel. For if the people do these things when the tree is green, what will happen when it is dry? And again, when you read this, you're like, I think I know what he's saying, but you don't appreciate it. That's why they did. One of the reasons they pieced it together like this is so people who don't appreciate things, unless they go over them again and again, could get it into their foolish brains and foolish minds what the truth is. Okay, so if people do these things, if people crucify the most righteous guy ever, when God sent the most righteous king ever to lead you, what will happen when there is no righteous king? Okay, and that's part of what Revelation is about, the end of righteousness and the punishment of the world as a result of it, because righteousness won't be on earth anymore. It won't be on earth ever again. Reveal, Alpha, Shun. Revelers and Alpha, Shun. Revelation. It hits them, right? They have a revelation, an epiphany. Okay, so again, if people do these things when the tree is green, what will happen when it is dry? Also, Hosea is about them sowing wickedness instead of sowing righteousness, spiritually and otherwise, right? The childless women, right? They're referring to, they're referring to more are the children of the barren woman. Paul elaborates on this in Galatians 4. He said, more are the children of the women in the spiritual realm, the spiritual children, than the women on the earth, because they're the walking dead. Okay, so the Jerusalem in the sky, the New Jerusalem versus the old Jerusalem, the old Rome, the nations of the world that remain. Okay, after I'm gone, the people who are literally here after I'm gone. Okay, so Proverbs 11:28 sheds some light on this. Those who trust in the riches will fall, but the righteous will thrive like a green leaf. So we know when they say when the tree is green, what will happen when it is dry? So when the leaves of the tree are green, the righteous thrive like a green leaf. So the green leaf he's referring to is righteousness and justice and all the martial art principles, right? Discipline, honor in this true form, right? True love, heart, what have you. Proverbs 11:30. The fruit of the righteous is a tree of life, and the one who is wise saves life. So again, they're referring to righteousness, right? It's the fruit of the righteous, the fruit and the leaves and the tree of life. The fruit of the righteous is a tree of life. And Proverbs 10, I believe it's 30 or something, says it to us that, or it's a different, part of it. Maybe it's not 30. And they say that out of the mouth of the righteous comes the fruit of wisdom. So wisdom, right? Righteous, moral wisdom in terms of actions, right? He said to Pilate, you had said so. You have said so, when he doesn't say so by his words, but by his actions. So the actions of the righteous show us wisdom. Okay. It also says, Jesus said, they said the Son of Man hung out with tax collectors and gluttons, but wisdom is proven right by her deeds. Okay. It is the actions that reveals the wisdom, not people exploring it while serving the corporate state. Okay. The wise in heart accept commands, but a chattering fool comes to ruin. The mouth of the righteous is a fountain of life, but the mouth of the wicked conceals violence. Wisdom is found on the lips of the discerning, but a rod is for the back of one who has no sense. Again, discerning, right? An actual valid martial art challenge, not the games other so-called, they call themselves martial artists are doing, right? Their Olympics doesn't show us discernment, right? They're just playing a game and learning repetitive behaviors and movements and muscle memory and honing the reflexes and training a certain, strategies instead of using kind of true brain power to outmaneuver someone, using their heart and the moral spirit of God. Okay. The lips of the righteous nourish many, but fools die for lack of sense, right? Sense and sensei, right? Using sense. All right, where was I here? Okay. And they die spiritually, right? Early Christian martyrs in popular culture, okay, show us that they're talking about dying spiritually, right? So early Christian martyrs, the idea was that they died for having sense, and they found their life, right? He who finds his life will lose it. He who loses his life for his soul and for God, will gain his soul. Okay. When the storm has swept by, the wicked are gone, but the righteous stand firm forever, right? The storm, right? The storm is the warrior spirit of God, and it expresses in different ways, right? So the warrior spirit can hand you over. This gets confusing because there's a fighting spirit, it's really an energy in Babylonians when they're attacking Jews, for example, and they're pagans, and God says, okay, I'm going to let Babylonians rape and kill and sack the Jews in the Old Testament. Okay, that's not the warrior spirit of God. But the warrior spirit of God is what has allowed that to happen and what is going to marshal the righteous who do what they're supposed to do as it happens and any other time as well. Okay, so don't get those two things confused. You know, that's why a cloud, right, on top of it, the sun is hitting it. The bottom part of it, the part you see typically, is the darkness that shows you the darkness is the pattern of nature that shows us the darkness of night, right? Remember, Jesus said to the troops, he said, "This is your time when darkness reigns." That's why you brought swords and clubs, right? You've come to take me as a thief in the night when I live my life in the light, okay? But Jesus also, the recompense for people's iniquities comes like a thief in the night. It comes as, you know, first people are suffering under the ruling, the governing, the governorship, you know, the ruling class's agenda in this world. Then they're handed over to eternal punishment, and they and the devil are going to be punished by me forever at God's right hand, because I am the avenger. Okay, it's like do unto others as you would have them do unto you. God sent his son, and you're like, oh, we're going to mock him and give him a hard time. We're going to shun him, and then I'm going to get in their face, so to speak, forever, and cause them to suffer forever. And say, now look at you. Because God hands, the pattern in nature is God hands the wicked over to the righteous. So if I train with all my heart, focused on doing the right thing, and someone else trains from a long line of people who are the craftsmen, focused on doing the wrong thing and trying to make craftsmen seem superior, and we step into the ring together and no one's sabotaging me, I'm going to outmaneuver him no time flat and chop him down, beat him at sparring, strike him in the leg, strike him in the throat, in the spine, right? Outmaneuver him, eyes, growing, right? Break him down, no time flat, because I'm sharp and focused with a sharp double-edged sword of Scripture. And they're dull, right? That's why Jesus said to his disciples, are you so dull? It refers to martial art disagreements, right? Brute force versus surgical striking. But also the Eastern arts, when they use illusion instead of the true spirit of God, that's part of the disagreement. So even though they're trying to surgical strike and they're trying to make it seem like they do it better than me because their limbs are smaller, they don't have the true spirit of God. And he who comes from afar, Horus, right? A falcon striking over a long distance, going fast, right? Coming from afar, no illusion but the truth. Flying high by the sun, a symbol of the truth, a symbol of God, a symbol of love and life, and the judgment of God, the eyes of God, etc. So these things must be considered as well. You see how it's martial arts. If you don't see the martial arts, you're missing the truth. Right? David and Goliath. Why did they bring up single combat? Because they're referring to martial arts. What is the pinnacle of single combat? Being a brute with a bunch of armor? Being someone who outmaneuvers them masterfully and slices through him. And even if he couldn't slice through him, he smacks him in his helmet and paralyzes him. Because the helmet, if your head moves too fast with a heavy object on it, you're going to paralyze the spine. So there's all kinds of other ways to get at him. It's like cuts off his leg or something. Now his movement is too slow and it's easy to break him down. You see what I'm saying? So the master angle is agility and surgical striking and moving in truth with mental clarity, and that comes from God. You see what I'm saying? All right, where are we here? The righteous will never be uprooted, but the wicked will not remain in the land. He said, I'm the root and the offspring of David, right? God, the source of righteousness. The righteous have a strong root in God, but the wicked will not remain in the land. They will not remain in the land and the sky. They'll remain in the footstool. We say, heaven is my throne, earth is my footstool. It's not the same as that land and the sky. And the pride of the wicked reaches to the clouds, right? And the clouds are trampling them down. Okay, they don't go past the clouds. From the mouth of the righteous comes the fruit of wisdom, but a perverse tongue will be silenced. Okay, there we go. It's verse 31. From the mouth of the righteous comes the fruit of wisdom, but a perverse tongue will be silenced. And in Proverbs 11:30, the fruit of the righteous is a tree of life, and the one who is wise saves lives, right? Saves souls, right? And if he can't save any souls, well, it's just a sign that it's the end. The lips of the righteous know what finds favor, but the mouth of the wicked only what is perverse. Right? Perverted, perverse. They're perverting the course of justice. They have perverse hearts. Looks like I'm going to have to do this in another video too. So I'm going to go over some John sections to help you understand this. I think I'm just going to save it for the next video. Okay.